In Season 8, Episode 5 of The Curse of Oak Island Tours Inc. hired Choice Sonic Drilling to conduct a programmed drilling operation in the Money Pit area, a procedure which they carried out in Season 7, Season 6, and especially Season 5. In order to determine the crew's motive for repeating this recurrent exercise, a brief history of the drilling operations in the Money Pit area may be required. All of the information in this video can be found in my books, The Oak Island Encyclopedia and The Oak Island Encyclopedia Volume 2, which you can find by clicking the links in the description. Back in the summer of 1850, the Truro Company erected a drilling platform in the original Money Pit at a depth of 30 feet. Under the direction of their drilling engineer, Jotham B. Macaulay, the company laborers drilled 5 holes, after each of which they inspected the material that clung to the surface of their drill bit. In addition to clay, dirt, and wood, the men drilled through what they believed to be metal pieces, suggestive of gold or silver coins. Some of the more interesting items they brought to the surface were 3 tiny links of gold chain, which some of the workmen likened to links from an ancient watch chain, or a chain tassel from a military uniform's epaulet, and a mystery item, which drilling crew foreman John Pitblado slipped into his pocket before quitting the company and making a pitch to another treasure hunting syndicate. In 1866, members of the Halifax Company conducted another drilling operation in the Money Pit. They recovered spruce wood at a depth of 110 feet, coconut fiber and charcoal at a depth of 128 feet, and soft earth at a depth of 150 feet, which suggested that the Money Pit's supposed treasure chests were sinking deeper into the earth. In 1897, the Oak Island Treasure Company excavated the Money Pit to a depth of 90 feet. Using steam-powered pumps to keep the floodwater in check, they set up a drilling platform there, and began prospecting the Money Pit to depths never before reached by previous Oak Island treasure hunters. Their findings were some of the most astonishing discoveries made on the island to date. In addition to wood, blue clay, and what appeared to be 2 impenetrable iron plates, the drillers discovered what has been dubbed the Chapel Vault, a supposed 7-foot-tall, 154-foot-deep compartment with an outer layer of cement and an inner layer of oak, filled with soft, loose metal suggestive of gold or silver coins. While examining the drill bit believed to have pierced the chapel vault, the treasure hunters discovered a small piece of sheepskin parchment with the letters VI written on it in India ink with a quill pen. The drilling operation conducted by treasure hunter Harry Beaudoin in 1909 was not nearly as fruitful as that performed by his Oak Island Treasure Company predecessors. Aside from blue clay and pieces of concrete-like material, which he identified as natural limestone, Beaudoin discovered no evidence of treasure or man-made structures. Engineers John Talbot and Thomas Nixon, who conducted drilling operations in the Money Pit area in the early 1930s, similarly found little aside from fragments of oak wood and cement. Gilbert Hedden maintained this pattern of disappointment in 1934 and 35, when his own drilling operations yielded nothing aside from fragments of very old oak wood. Irwin Hamilton fared similarly in 1938, as did George Green in 1951. In 1952, treasure hunter Mel Chappell hired brothers William and Victor Harmon to conduct a drilling operation in the area north of the chapel shaft, where the original Money Pit was supposed to lie. In addition to old oak and spruce, the Harmon brothers brought up coconut fiber and blue clay from various depths. Robert and Bobby Restall conducted their drilling operations in the 1960s, during which they drilled through what they believed to be wood-shored tunnels. Their findings led Robert Restall to develop his theory that 2 tunnels, one of them diagonal and the other spiral-shaped, lay beneath the Money Pit area and led to the Chapel Vault. Robert Dunfield's drilling operation in the 1960s revealed the presence of a 40-foot cavern in the Money Pit area, extending from 142 feet to 181 feet below the surface, something which George Green had discovered during his own Money Pit area drillings. In 1967, David Tobias and David Blankenship of Triton Alliance hired a contract drilling company called Becker Drilling to punch 60 holes in the Money Pit area. This operation yielded pieces of china, oak wood, which was carbon dated from 1490 to 1660, cement, charcoal, blue clay, metal, brick, cavities, and wood-shored tunnels at depths of between 160 and 212 feet in the Money Pit area. In 1970, Triton Alliance initiated another massive exploration drilling operation on the island, this time hiring a Toronto-based geophysical company called Golder Associates to sink holes on the island, albeit at locations north of the Money Pit area, some of which Dan Blankenship prescribed through the mysterious art of dowsing. One of these holes, located 180 feet from both the money pit and the cave-in pit, yielded fragments of old iron chain at a depth of 165 feet. This particular drill hole, dubbed Borehole 10X, would be painstakingly widened into a shaft which would come to dominate Blankenship's 50-year-long Oak Island treasure hunt. Back in Season 1, Episode 1 of The Curse of Oak Island, the Lagina brothers conducted a small, haphazard drilling operation in the money pit area, and discovered several pieces of china at a depth of 165 feet. Oak Island Tours Inc. conducted a fruitless drilling operation in the money pit area in Season 2, Episode 2, after which they decided they needed to bring a more powerful drilling rig to the island. The procedure resumed in Season 2, Episode 4, during which the treasure hunters punched a hole from which they extracted a 140-foot deep core sample, containing fragments of old wood, clay, and a hard substance identified as either limestone or primitive concrete. Craig Tester suggested that the crew may have drilled into the side of the concrete-covered chapel vault, first discovered in 1897. In Season 4, Episode 4, this borehole was widened into a shaft called Valley 3. In Season 4, Episode 6, the crew excavated the supposed vault below with a hammer grab and extracted wood bearing circular saw marks, an indication that the feature in question was probably a part of the 1931 chapel shaft, and not the mysterious underground vault discovered by the Oak Island Treasure Company as hoped. In Season 3, Episode 12, the Fellowship of the Dig drilled a hole at a location in the money pit area prescribed by Charles Barkhouse, unearthing fragments of old wood and a tiny piece of metal, which the treasure hunters jokingly observed resembles the shape of Oak Island. The crew terminated the hole at a depth of 171 feet, when it dropped into what proved to be a 21-foot deep cavity. In Season 3, Episode 13, the crew lowered a special camera down this hole, which was dubbed C1 in honor of Charles Barkhouse. At a depth of 171 feet, the camera picked up a shiny gold-colored object, which the treasure hunters have made sporadic attempts to retrieve ever since. You can find a more comprehensive history of Borehole C1 in my video on Season 8, Episode 1, which you can find by clicking the link in the top right-hand corner of this video. Throughout Season 5, a contracting company called the Brewster Drill Team sank 46-inch wide, 200-foot deep boreholes in the money pit area, in a pattern referred to as the Geotech Grid. During this massive operation, the contractors recovered countless fragments of old wood, charcoal, and steel, and encountered several impenetrable objects and underground cavities. In Season 5, Episode 5, they drilled a hole dubbed H8, which yielded 2 pieces of 17th or 18th century human bones, along with fragments of pottery, leather, parchment, and paper. In Season 6, Episode 4, Oak Island Tours Inc. commissioned choice sonic drilling, with sinking a hole called DE6 in the money pit area, in a vain attempt to intersect an anomaly indicated by seismic survey data, the edge of which H8 is believed to have clipped. That same episode, choice drilling sank drill hole H7.5 nearby, finding coconut fiber and wood at depth in the process. In Season 6, Episode 5, the contractors sank drill holes HI4 and IJ5.5, both of which yielded pieces of wood. The treasure hunters suspected that IJ5.5 intersected the side of the Shaft 6 searcher tunnel, built from Shaft 6 to the money pit in 1861. In Season 6, Episode 9, choice drilling sank K5.5 in an attempt to follow the Shaft 6 tunnel to the money pit. In a further effort to pinpoint the precise location of the original money pit, the Fellowship of the Dig had choice drilling sink exploratory drill holes in the money pit area in search of Shaft 2 throughout Season 7, Episodes 7 and 8. Shaft 2 having been built 14 feet southeast of the money pit by the Onslow Company in 1804. This endeavor was a success, and Season 7, Episode 8 ended with the narrator's affirmation that the crew had indeed determined the location of the original money pit. Throughout Season 7, Episodes 9 and 10, the treasure hunters had choice drilling punch holes in search of the Shaft 2 tunnel, which connected Shaft 2 with the money pit. This operation was also a success, which further supported the crew's hypothesis regarding the money pit's location. In Season 7, Episode 13, choice drilling sank holes at the suspected location of the original money pit, but failed to find anything of interest. Since the Oak Island crew has determined the location of the original money pit, the drilling operation which they intend to carry out throughout Season 8 is presumably for the purpose of locating the elusive money pit treasure, which is believed to have slid into some underground tunnel or subterranean void following the money pit's collapse in 1850. Thanks for watching, If you enjoyed this video and would like to help support this channel, please check out my Oak Island Encyclopedias, which you can find by clicking the links in the description.